Hi, I'm Diane Earnshaw, founder of Voxpops International, and I'd like to introduce you to our podcast series, Expert Voices. During this season, I'll be chatting to research professionals and leaders in their field about how they use and how they integrate insights, video and strategy in order to get great cut-through in their companies. In this episode, we're catching up with Nick Wales, former insight leader at AVON. So, hi Nick, welcome to the podcast, and it's nice to talk to you.
Hello.
So, welcome today. Just first of all, do you want to just give us a brief introduction about yourself and how you got into insight, and where did you start your kind of journey in the industry?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in consumer insight for quite a few years now. Most recently, as I say, with AVON. Prior to that, I worked for a number of different companies. I worked for Boots, Thomas Cook, local newspaper, and back in the early days, Home Pride Foods and Milk Marketing Board as well, back in food. So, I very much started. I did a maths degree, so went into a kind of analyst role, but very quickly that kind of merged into a consumer insights role, and loved it ever since.
So what would you say research was like in those days versus today?
Well, okay. I mean, some things, I guess, still remain the same. So you still had focus groups, you still had quant surveys. I guess it was just more effort, wasn't it, to do the surveys then, and the focus groups then. So nowadays things are a lot quicker, and you can do things quite a lot in-house in terms of companies. Certainly we'd never done anything in-house in my early career, whereas now it's relatively easy to do that for kind of small research projects. And again, the analysis as well would take a lot longer, because it would all be a lot more manual, and you'd have to request tables and plow tables in order to analyze the results. So yeah, it's definitely a lot better now. Technology is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, do you remember the filling in of paper questionnaires and that type of thing?
That is true. Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so you forget all that, don't you? And the time it took to get results back as well. Things are a lot quicker now. That's for sure.
So if things been quicker, is the sort of speed, do you think that's come from the management as well? And are you expected to turn things around much, much faster and deliver quicker?
Yeah, that's undoubtedly true, isn't it? I guess it's a bit chicken and egg, isn't it? The fact that you are able to turn things around a lot quicker means that then, you can offer that. And but there's no doubt about it. I think decisions are made a lot quicker these days. By marketing and wider teams, and there's that kind of expectation as well, I guess, that things are going to be made quicker, and therefore, the whole point of insights is to influence decisions, and so in order to influence those decisions, you have to have the results back sooner. Otherwise, it's no good, having a brilliant research project, but the results come too late to make any difference to the action that's taken.
And how do you find how do you deliver? What do you think, in your opinion, is the best way or a good way to deliver insights, especially sort of given modern days and, time poor and that sort of thing?
I think there's a variety of ways really of delivering insights. So, I think there's often still a need for a kind of presentation at the end of the research, and you do have to be more engaging and quite tight with that presentation. I'm particularly because I haven't worked in the office for over 2 years now. And Avon is a very international company, so there's people from Poland, Brazil, South Africa, all of Latin America. So the people aren't there to be in the office. Now, one of the drawbacks of that is that people often multitask when they're attending presentations, so you don't have their whole undivided attention, and therefore, the presentation needs to be very succinct. I think that's always the case,
Yeah.
But, ideally, under an hour, I would say, regardless of the kind of size of presentation is ideal. But
So,
that's, I guess, is one part of delivering it. Sorry, Dan.
yeah, I was going to say, most of these presentations you're talking about now, are they all online?
Yes, so yes, they're all online. Yeah, much as we are today.
Mm.
Yeah. The other one I think is the kind of growth of the workshop, and I do like a workshop at the end of the project. And again, that works very well online. There were a lot of concerns, I guess, is where that would work when we first started doing it, but actually it works very well. And in some respects, is easier to get everybody engaged in the workshop when you do it online, because then you can split into smaller groups very simply, and it makes the whole process a lot quicker. So I do like workshops to kind of work through what the actions are going to be, and really, I guess it also makes people engage as well in that research too.
Okay.
The other one I say is just that I think a lot of research is not about answering a particular question. I think a lot of it is just helping the business better understand consumers. And therefore, there's always those opportunities to share insights in lots of different ways. So be that just kind of comments within meetings, or when people are looking to make decisions on a completely different subject, we got this research on this that can help, onboarding new people into the business, and bringing, really, it's a cliche, isn't it? But bringing to life the consumer for them. And I do like those. So kind of bring everybody close to consumers in a variety of different ways. I think that works really well, because it just helps them people better understand consumers and make better decisions on a ongoing basis.
So how do you do your consumer connect kind of sessions at the moment?
So a lot of it is pulling together research that we've already done. And then it is also helping to bring consumers to life. And I mean, videos, Vox Pops of videos of consumers really do make a difference. So particularly in an international company, where, a lot of people traditionally in AVON were based in the UK, although not so much these days. And just being able to see both consumers, what they're wearing, obviously how they're made up, and their homes as well, which is another great way of just bringing to life really consumers, makes a big difference.
So with the video, when was the first time? Can you remember the first time you ever used video on Insight?
So the first time I used video would have been clips from focus groups. So you would actually try and take a clip from the focus group, but the quality of that was often not very good. And so then what we started doing was taking a video, almost kind of interviewing consumers after the focus group to say, you said this, can you repeat that? And have the same question again. Boots would be the first time when we used video. And as I say, initially that would be using clips from focus groups.
So what other videos have you seen since those early days? What kind of videos have you personally been sort of aware of, or how it's been used?
Yeah, sure. So I like the kind of better understanding consumer type videos. So that's more people talking about, who they are, their lifestyle, showing a bit about their house, which I think is really good. And obviously for beauty, looking at their beauty products. So perhaps going into their bathroom or bedroom and seeing the kind of array of beauty products and then talking through those beauty products. I think that works really well, because it helps the respondent as well, rather than have to remember everything. It's a prompt there really of things they've used, and they often kind of say, oh, I never knew, I've forgotten I had that. I don't know why I bought that. You say, oh, great, that's our product, So that's definitely one example. The other example would be around bringing to life findings. Mm-hmm. So one example, we did some research on sustainability when I was at AVON. We were looking at prototypes of sustainable packaging. And one of the So this is more sustainable packagings, and they're also looking at refills as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can you can report back to the R&D team who obviously developed the packaging, whether it worked or whether it didn't. But then just including little clips in there of the consumer actually trying to open the packaging and having problems with that, or trying to refill the packaging, and like the refill was a very flexible, low plastic refill. But the result of that was it kept collapsing in the hand, and shower gel went all over the place. So that that kind of really helps bring it to life, and also gives the R&D team a very clear idea of what they need to do to improve that packaging before it launches. I've also used it for ideation. I think it's great for ideation, actually. So again, at AVON, we have a lot of new products coming out, and therefore you have to start off with that ideation session, and just again, kind of bringing to life consumers, what they're currently using, what they're going to be using is a great input for people in an ideation session. Works so much better than PowerPoint slides. And also, you can actually ask consumers. They're not always obviously very good, but if you can get more creative consumers, they often come up with some quite good ideas themselves that might not be an end product in its own right, but it has the nugget of a good product there that the team can then develop and build on.
And did you find that, have you found that sort of your stakeholders engage more as well when they're actually seeing people trying using things?
Yes, so they absolutely do. And all stakeholders as well, actually. You might expect creative teams to react very well to videos of consumers, but actually R&D teams as well. Yes, you have the numbers there, but just bringing to life is so that the results of it works really well. And I've also used it. So when I was at AVON, I did a couple of cross-company sessions where we have everybody, within the company, had these getting to know AVON customers and AVON representatives. And again, video just breaks up a lot of PowerPoint slides and makes it a lot more engaging. And similarly with the exec as well. So again, they see lots of PowerPoint slides, exec. So again, making it more engaging by bringing consumers works really well.
That's really good that you've been so involved, because I know that when I first met you, you were one of the more kind of people at the beginning of the whole video stage who was interested in videos and all the rest of it. And obviously since then, it's become much, much more mainstream. When I first started, I don't even remember, but I'd go along to people and they go, well, is this genuine research? Or can you count this as research? It's not research. Can people film themselves? And so, oh my goodness, And now obviously with technology and everything, it's so different. It's just completely different. Do you see video being part of research, like for good now? That it's intrinsically,
Absolutely, yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And as you say, it's a really good point you make about how much easier it is for consumers to film themselves and get good quality. So I was dealing with people in different countries every day. So fortunately, everybody speaks English. It's kind of the language of AVON. And in some respects, it's no different really presenting a virtual presentation to just UK audiences as it is to international audiences. So not a problem at all, really.
One of the things you were talking about working internationally was kind of like getting together with, sort of like Zoom conferences and that sort of thing. How did you find it delivering insights from two completely different countries? How did you get them to understand each other, or what was your experience of working with sort of across the board, across different countries?
And in some respects, it's no different really presenting a virtual presentation to just UK audiences as it is to international audiences. So, yeah, not a problem at all, really.
That's good. So also on this sort of back to the subject of video, because I'm interested in this obviously because of where we sit in the market, but what do you guys look for in terms of a video agency? Is it kind of, because when I first started, I obviously came from a research background, but do you look for agencies who have research backgrounds, or has it moved into a situation where actually in the same way as if you're using a software company, that it doesn't necessarily matter about the research experience, it's more about the technology and the kind of the output and the video expertise?
Well, I'd say it was horses for courses, but actually I'd say the video technology is quite universal now. So I think it's hard for a company to have a leading edge, if you like, on due to its technology. So from that point of view, it's very much the research expertise, I think. But again, it kind of differs depending on whether you're using a full service agency or whether you are wanting something more do it yourself. But certainly for full service agencies, yes, we're looking for that research expertise to ask the right questions and interpret the responses in the right way. And I think video really helps with that as well, because it's such a rich form of feedback compared to written answers, for example.
And obviously, one of the big things that's happened in the video world has been able to add video into quant studies, and have it all sort of online. I mean, that's been a massive kind of innovation in the last, I don't know how many years now, probably about 7, something like that. So that's all quite interesting. I mean, do you have any views on where you think video will go in the future?
I guess one way it will go will be the interpretation of it will get better. So, I know there are some things out there at the moment where I can tell people are kind of happy or sad or delighted with with a particular product. But from what I've seen, I don't think they're particularly good at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to improve in future. So I think it will get a lot more automated, I guess, in terms of where we're going future with video. But like focus groups are still around. I'm sure, the traditional way of, having video just to bring other results to life will still be very valid. And it is, from somebody that works in Insight, it's not just who you're working with that works well, but it also works very well for me. I far prefer somebody talking about, being able to see, somebody talking about a particular product or new idea, because it just has such a richness of feedback compared to just their written responses.
So generally, what's your view on the insight industry in kind of going forward in the next 10 years? Because again, I know one of the big topics a few years ago was very much about, or it's always been there actually, is insight valued enough? Or, management consultants spend, cost an absolute fortune, whereas their insight teams don't get paid anywhere near the same sort of amount, but actually they're potentially producing, information and insights which are just as valuable, if not more. So do you think the role of insight has been elevated in the last sort of 5-6 years? And do you think it will become more so in the future?
I think it's very different depending on the company. So I think there are definitely some companies where insight has been elevated. There are other companies where insight has always been elevated, has been there for a long time. I'm sure that will remain so. From an insights point of view, I would see the threat, if you like it, but I think it's also an opportunity, is around data analytics and the kind of merging of insights, what traditionally was market research, into insights and data analytics into one is definitely the future. And even from a client side, insight point of view, there are a lot more sources of insight now than there ever used to be. I mean, social media is a brilliant source of insight, and we should be, really should be making more of that than we do, because it's just out there already, ready to be tapped. You don't have to pay an agency to find it for you; it's just there already.
Yeah.
So I think that would definitely grow. I think the whole area of behavioral economics as well, which is, been around for quite a long time, but I think we're still grappling with what it means as an industry, and, really wholeheartedly embracing it, I guess, in terms of what it means. And ultimately, consumers aren't very good at telling you why they made a particular decision, which is pretty core to a lot of the research that we do. So I think that will change. And again, I think that's where the kind of data analytics comes into it. So there'll be a lot more testing different ideas, rather than necessarily asking people to explain why they prefer A over B, just to test and get the results. So I think it'd be, I think the other challenge as well is just getting quality sample. And I think we might move to smaller samples, but better quality samples, rather than the big surveys of people you don't really know who they are and why they're doing that research. I'm a big fan of customer panels, because I think your own customers can tell you a huge amount about your products, your brands, etc. So yeah, I think it's very exciting. I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
I think what you're saying about social media as well is really good, because if you link that to things like consumer panels, and it's you're managing to, I don't know, look at your consumers' TikTok channels, or things like that, especially if you're obviously in things like beauty industry, and everybody loves to show, well, I don't, but lots of people love to show what they're putting on, and that how they put on their makeup, or sharing their thoughts on a particular shampoo or something, I don't know. But
yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Yeah. And you can get both levels, can't you? Kind of TikTok is more the ideal, I guess, of how it should be done. And then other social media can tell you what they really think. I mean, Mumsnet is a great source. Actually, I often go on Mumsnet and people telling you about what's working and what doesn't work, and how do I do this and how do I do that.
Yeah, fantastic. Nick, thank you very much for joining us today. Really, really appreciate your time. And it's great to catch up and have a chat about video and all things insight. And look forward to speaking to you soon. And watch out for the podcast.
I will do. Lovely to speak to you again, Diane. Hope something of what I said is worth podcasting.
Oh, thanks so much, Nick.
Thank you.